Hello friends, today I'm going to explain about SSL setup in MySQL Enterprise database, that is 8.0.22, which is latest version. So before explaining this setup, so what I observed compared to 5.7 Enterprise MySQL database and 8.0.x Enterprise database version. So if you are going to set up SSL in previous versions like 5.6 or 5.7, so we can generate SSL certificates in etc our customized folder. But what I observed in 8.0.22, which is latest database version, so it is mandatory to generate the SSL certificate, private keys and public keys and CA certificate in the data directory folder. So that I will explain later once while explaining this setup. So this document entirely set up a SSL, how we are going to set up a SSL and how we are going to connect to connectivity from client to database and within the database server by using SSL certificate. So mainly SSL certificates, as you know guys, server certificate and client certificate and CA certificate. So the names called like this: server and client and CA certificate. So here, while setting up SSL, we can generate third-party certificate authority, that is CA certificate, from outside. And second one is we can generate our own CA file by using OpenSSL. So 95% is all are using OpenSSL. Only 5% are generating and getting outside with third-party certificate for CA and using in the production environment. So which is cost. But 95% people are using OpenSSL, that is generate our own certificate, then connection in the production. Okay. So first of all here, so we are first installing the 8.0.22 database, first setup for the database. So here in this document, MySQL server belongs to 172.31.17.141, and here MySQL client is nothing but a 25.177. So the version which I taken from MySQL is 8.0.22, that is enterprise, that is commercial. So where I can download from the Oracle site. So the first step is we can check before setting up what is a OS, because it is matter about the database version while installing MySQL. Because if you are taking RHEL 7 OS RHEL 7 database and RHEL 7 database version, if you are taking and installing in the RHEL 8, it won't work. So it is matter 100%. You have to check before installing the MySQL. It has to support, it has to correct a binary which you are taking. Like for example, if you are choosing RHEL 8.4, my mission is RHEL 8.4. So you have to choose database version 8.22, which belongs to RHEL 8, not RHEL 7. Okay, so that is a pre-step while downloading the software from Oracle support site or while installing the database, before installing the database. Okay, so first once we get that information, then download the software and keep it ready for installing. So next step is, so I am creating the group is called DBN. Here, so you can give any name while creating the group. So it is not a mandatory to give DBA, you can give anything. So here I provided DBA as a group name in my setup. So once that is done, create a local user called MySQL. So here MySQL, you have to create the OS MySQL user. So what I used here, user add -g DBA and -u, the unique number where you can give any number. -d is my home directory of the MySQL user is called home MySQL. And the permission and owner of this one is MySQL. So based on your environment, like for example, in your environment, you may not have home path. So if you have export, then you can keep it export slash MySQL slash home slash MySQL. If you don't have export, then you can go with the data based on your environment, what mount point is available. Okay. So once that is done, then you can set the password of OS MySQL user by using PASSWD. So once that is done, so the copy the software where you downloaded from the support site Oracle and keep it ready in this path, whatever you created in the step 3 by using WinSCP. Copy the software into your Linux box from your local machine to Linux box by using WinSCP. So once that is done, so after copy the software into MySQL home directory, run gunzip and tar commands for extracting the files. So here, anyway, once while downloading from the support side, you may get a .tar file or .zz files. Software is okay. So what I was using here, so I'm using gunzip and tar files for that bundle of that software and extracting all the software packages which I downloaded and copied in the Linux box. So go to this unzip folder where I unzipped the MySQL software packages. Go to that folder, then install MySQL database by using RPM. So here in this entire document or setup, which is MySQL database installation is RPM. So the most method which is using outside or clients, anybody, so 95% is using RPM method. So that is what I was considering that one, and I started installing RPM method installation in this document. So before installing MySQL database packages, so there are a couple of dependency packages which you need to taking care before installing the database. So that is libaio and net-tools and Perl script, Perl language. So these 3 packages you have to install before running into the MySQL RPM packages. So in this document, I have installed these packages and I started installing the RPM packages, the order by like this. First, we have to install commercial common package and then client plugins and then libs. After that client, after that server. So total 5 packages, 5 RPM you have to install. The order is important here. So you have to install the packages like this. Suppose for example, the common most error is if you are trying to installing first client package, you may end up with errors. Dependency packages should be installed before client package. So like that you may get. So to avoid that, so while doing this setup, I got the order and I did installation order in this way. So once that is completed, as a root user, we should run below commands to install metadata tables, which is related to MySQL database. So as you know, some of the community versions or community versions, some of the version like I can say 5.7, you may not run that MySQL D command, MySQL D initialization command not required to initialize. So by simply in 5.7 community, once you installed RPM packages, just simply start the service. That's it. So no need to run MySQL D initialize. So it's based on your OS architecture, operating system version also matter. So in my career, I felt I got that like what you called, I got that situation. So some of the OS packages, or some of the OS, it was showing not required to run this one. Then I started MySQL database, and internally all the metadata files folders is generated in the data directory. I got that situation. So that's why, but here in the community version, commercial version, it has to run this command as a MySQL OS user, not root user. So switch it to the MySQL user and run this command to initialize the metadata database. Okay. So once that is done, so probably you can go with the varlib MySQL and check it all the files and folders which is belongs to your database packages. Like for example, here MySQL and performance schema. Okay, these are all default sys schemas, right? Other than that, you can check it other files like which is belongs to server keys and public keys and CA certificate, right? And other IB log file, InnoDB engines and undo files. Everything is generated after running that initialization step. Okay, this one. So once that is done, so you guys can observe here, by default, some of the certifications are coming like this, right? So these are all by default. These are all by default. It will come certificates along with the database installation, like server, client, and public and private and the CA certificates. Okay. So these are all default ones. So no need to worry about that. After that, so all the automatically all metadata tables will create under valid mode MySQL, because here I'm using the standard data directory path which is called valid MySQL. Okay, so after that I'm starting the MySQL database as a root user by using this command systemctl status MySQL. So probably you can see the status is now dead. That means DB is not running. So what I did, I just started the MySQL D process and you can see active running. Okay. So after that, so here no need to set password for MySQL super user root. So as you know, guys, by default, password will be generated in the log file. That is temporary password. So you must know all this procedure. So get that temporary password from this varlog MySQL d.log file, and you will get like this. Okay. So by using this temporary password, you are going to connect to the database once you start the database. Then connect to the MySQL database from command line as a root user like this by using temporary password which you got in previous time. So after that, so you must know, right? Once you connect to the temporary password, once you connect to the database by using temporary password, you may not run any commands except you have to set the root password by using alter command. So what I did, I just tested that one, select version. You can get this error. You must reset your password user, alter user statement before executing this statement. So that is what it won't allow any command to run. You have to set the password by using this command and run the flush privileges. After that, again, you are trying to connecting MySQL database by using with the new password, which you generate, which you altered above step. So now you can see select version. Okay. And other commands like basic commands like you show databases, use MySQL, everything you can run it without any error. Okay. So here I have created a root with the remote host. And yeah, that's one. That's it. Okay. So after that, the main step is configuration file. So here is the configuration file. Go to the etc my.cnf file and add this content in the my.cnf file. One is server ID, port, data directory and base directory and socket. So these are all basic basic parameters which you know to add into the my.cnf file. So I edited that one and I restarted that MySQL database service by using these commands. Okay. After that, till this one, the plain MySQL database is ready. Here, we did not talk about anything SSL setup. So after that, once your setup is ready with MySQL database installation, then now the first step is called CA certificate from MySQL server level. So where you are going to generate these certifications means you have to generate these certificates in the MySQL database server level. Okay. So create a new directory under data directory folder and create the CA certificate. So here, so one thing I want to tell you guys here. So before generating a CA certificate, so whatever you have the existing certificates in the data directory folder, you have to rename. You have to keep it with this different name like this. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 files. So I have moved all 6 files with _org in the data directory folder, varlib MySQL. Okay. In the varlib MySQL folder, I have changed, I have renamed to old existing certifications files to some other name like this. So once that is done, so as I told you before starting this session, so in MySQL 8.0 onwards, you have to generate the CA and server keys and client keys, everything in the data directory folder. But in 5.7, you can use it anyway, any path. In the etc, you can create new folder called SSL_certificate. Under that, you can generate CA and public keys and private keys, server, client keys, everything in the customized folder till 5.7. But in 8.0, so it is not like this. It is completely different while generating the certificates. So I faced that issue while generating. So I again recreated all the certificates in the required path, that is data directory path. So here I have mentioned in the varlib MySQL folder and run the first command called OpenSSL GNRSA and 2048 and CA key.pem. So you are going to generate a CA-key.pem. That is a first certificate which you are generating by using this command, OpenSSL, this one. So these commands generally we can get it from the MySQL documentation, but again, I have providing here with the detailed information what you have to provide. You may get only commands in the MySQL documentation, but here you can everything get it line by line, everything what you need to give as an input, everything is there. Okay, so once you run this command, you will get like this. So after that, run ls-ltr and see this file will be generated with 1679 is the file size. Okay, so once that is done, next command is OpenSSL REQ and generating a CA key, CA-key.pem to, you are writing this entire file, whatever the content is there, into out. That means CA.pem is going to generate a new file with providing the information. So once you run this second command, it will ask some of the file inputs. Sorry. So here it will ask the country name. You can give country name and state or province name, KA you can give. It is not a mandatory to give these details except host name. So till this one, you can provide N any value. It is not a mandatory to provide all these things. Okay, I just added just a format of the questions what it is asking. That's it. Okay, so here I given, and common name is the most important in the SSL certificate generation. So here common name is nothing but your MySQL server database. You can provide your you can provide server hostname where you are generating the MySQL certifications, SSL certifications where you are running. You can provide that hostname, but here I provided MyCA. MyCA is the common name in the server certificate file generating in the CA. Okay, so after that you can see these two files got generated. The ca.pem is which I provided the details based on these inputs, and ca-key.pem is created by using this one, the initial certificate. So till this one we generated CA certificates. Okay, so after that we have to generate a server certificate in the MySQL server level. So to set up a server certificate in the same path, parallel MySQL only, and already two files having, and this command it will be considered to create a server-rig.pem file. So this one again it will ask the server certificate, right? It will ask some inputs like whatever it is asked for CA, the same thing it will ask. So here I'm giving the same inputs whatever I provided for CA except hostname. So here db_server means you have to provide server hostname. So what you can do while running this setup, you can provide for my CA name, and server certificate you can give DB server. Wherever you are running, you can provide that host name. Okay. So once that is done, here it will ask some challenge password, those things and all. So it is not a mandatory. It is not a mandatory. You can give any password. This is dummy purpose, just a dummy purpose. It won't use anywhere while connecting to the database. Okay. So once that is done, you may see all four files, which is belongs to two files, which is belongs to CA, and two files for server certificate. Okay. So after that, so by using this command, what you are going to do, you are going to remove the password what you provided here. So basically what is this? Server-rig.pem, right? So server-rig.pem having 1017 is the file size. Okay. Server-key, right? Okay. Server-key.pem. So server required 1679 1289. Okay. So if you see here, server-key.pem, which is generated by using this one, server-key.pem, this one, right? So what we are going to do, whatever the password you provided here, a challenge password I provided here, root123. So by using this command, I'm going to remove this password. That means pass pair. I'm going to remove it. So by using this command, so you can observe one thing. Before running this highlighted command, the server-key.pem is 1708 is a file size. After running this one, so the password will be removed from the .pem file, and you can see server-key.pem is 1679 is the file size. So that means this command will be remove the password which you provided in the previous command for this. Okay. So once that is done, so just to verify with your ca.pem file and ca-key file with your server.sat file. So what you are going to provide, just run this command, open SSL, and providing all 4 files. Here is the one file, and here is the second file, which is CA related. Okay, CA related is 2 files, and server related is 1 file, and server related is 1 file. So total 4 files. By using these 4 files, you are going to just verify whether signature is properly built or not. So you can see here signature okay, and the subject line getting the CA private key. So signature okay if you get, so that means your CA certification is validated with the server certificate. Okay, so till that one we have completed. You can see here server-sat.pem is file generated new file, which is here. Okay, so till this one you have generated server certificate and CA certificate. Okay, so now you are going to generate a client certificate. So client certificate is nothing but a from client mission to database to connect to the MySQL database by using SSL. It is required client certificate along with CA certificate. Okay, so if you are not providing any client certificates, or if you are not generating client certificate and providing to anyone, they may not able to connect to the MySQL database connectivity by using SSL. It won't connect to it. So it has to generate client certificate and server certificate and CA certificate. These 3 are the fundamental setup for SSL. Not only MySQL, it is fundamental for anything, any database. Okay, so here client certificate. So what, suppose for example, A and B server, there are 2 servers. So A server you can call it as a MySQL database server, which is set up done with for SSL. SSL is configured in the A server. So B is nothing but some other person where he want to connect to the MySQL database from B to A. So that means from B to A without SSL, he can able to connect once the authentication is established. But if the B server wants to connect to the A server by using SSL, in the B server, he has to provide client certificates. Then only he can able to connect from B server to A server by using SSL. So for that, it has to generate n number of client. Whoever wants to connect from their missions to A server, then it has to generate client certificate in all the missions except server mission. So here to avoid, suppose for example in your organization, one of the team having 100 people. 100 people are using to connect to the SSL database. That means as a DBA, we have to generate 100 set of client certificates for 100 missions, right? So in that case, to avoid that 100 kind of setup, creating the SSL certificate for clients, you can set one kind of setup, one setup of client certificate. Those set of certificate, client certificates, you can share to 100 people. Not 100 people, you can share to anyone, n number of. They can use same set of connectivity, same set of client certificates. All the 100 people can able to connect to the A server by using single set of MySQL certification, client certifications. So how we are going to do means, so here in the same server, in the MySQL server, in the same path, I'm going to generate a client certificate by using these commands: OpenSSL -new queue and nodes and client key.pem and client required.pem. Okay. So once you run that command, it will ask again few of the questions like this, whatever we saw in the server certification time. So you can provide till this one, you can provide whatever you like it. Okay. But here, while generating the client certificate, you should give unique name of the host name here. Suppose, for example, here, this is a main point where you can avoid 99 times client certificate. So if you provide, suppose, for example, B server having MySQL client is the B server and MySQL server is the A server, which is running into the SSL database. So if one person wants to connect from MySQL client server to MySQL server, then you can provide MySQL client as a host name here. But that setup, that client certificate set, it won't work for another person. It won't work. So that means again you have to generate client certificate for another person. So like that, n number of people, if they want to connect to the SSL database, then you may generate 99 times or 100 times. To avoid that, what you can do, you can keep it simply unique name called my client. That's it. You can give any name. It is not a mandatory to provide the host name of that particular machine. It's not like that. You can provide any name that is unique name. So what I am going to do, I did the same kind of things in the 5.7 and 8 also. So 5.7 also, it was working for n number of people. Okay, here also I was using the same kind of manner by providing my client is the just unique name of the client certificate generation. So once it is done, so you can see last two files got generated, client related, client key and client required. So here also you are provided root 123 is the challenge password. You are going to keep it passpair, removing the passpair. So I am running this command, and you can observe client key dot pem is 1704 is the file size. Client key dot pem is 1679 after remove this the password. Okay. So once that is done, so now you are going to check the certification with the client package, client PEM certificate with the CA, whether it is properly certified or not. So by using this command, OpenSSL required, client required.pem and CA certificate and client.set.pem. So you are providing two files with the CA files, then probably you will get output like this. So signature is okay and CN is my client. When you run this command for the server certificate validation, you got DB underscore server name. But here, when you are doing the certificate validation with the CA key for the client certification, you are getting my client is a common name. Okay. So once that is done, probably you can see another file is called client set.pem file. So total, how many set of 2 is for CA file and 3 is for server related and 3 for client related. So 6, 7, 8 files totally is deployed in the SSL setups. Okay, that is done. So far the certifications which is generated for server and client and CA. The next step is the verification from MySQL server level. So as you know, right, by simply creating these certifications, you may not, that is not perfectly set it up. So verification from MySQL server level means there is a pre-steps which you need to enable few of the parameters in my.cnf and restart the database. So that we will see now. So probably you can see here, all the files is generated in the valid MySQL, and you're just verifying all these things, client certificate, server certificate, CA files. You can see server certificate and client certificate is okay. So probably sometimes we may get error here. We have to troubleshoot based on the error. Okay. So once that is done, so here we have to, so you can see, right, in valid MySQL, if I run, all the files are generating with root. That means root OS user. But if you see few steps back, when you install the database, so all the certificates is belongs to your MySQL is the owner. MySQL is the user, right? So that means you have to change that permissions of the new certifications which you generated. So that means by using this command ch1 -r MySQL for all the certifications which you generated, that is 8 set of certifications, and also group also you have to change it. Okay, after changing, probably you can see all which is related to MySQL and MySQL related. Okay, so here one possible issue, you may get error with SSL error, unable to get private key from etc SSL seat. So probably you have to set it in the my.cnf by providing the private key file location in the my.cnf. So if you are not providing properly, or if you are generating your customized folder and providing that folder into the my.cnf in the 8.0, this is the, you will end up with this error. So the solution is, all SSL certificates are point to data directory. So we should keep our SSL certificates in MySQL and in the data directory, or in the data directory. Wherever you want to keep it data directory, you can keep it the same. So after that, once you restart the service, you will be clear this error actually. Okay. Yeah. So once that is done, so now you have to add few of the parameters in my.cnf and restart the service. So what you need to add means, so edit the my.cnf file and restart the service. And what you need to add means these things. You have to add these 3 lines in the my.cnf: SSL-CA, SSL-cert, SSL-key. SSL cert means server certification. CA certificate means CA file, and SSL key means server key file. Okay, so these 3 parameters you have to add in the my.cnf and restart the service and check the status of the MySQL. So if you are getting any error, the possible error means only the possible errors means this is one of the possible error, and you may end up with some of the errors called permission issues of that certificate files, those things and all. Okay, so that based on that error only you have to troubleshoot. Once that is done, now till now the certifications are ready and database is ready and the configuration file which is required, everything is ready. So once that is done, now go with the checking the values and variables from the MySQL server level, whether it is pointing correctly or not in the DB level after rebooted the service, restarted the service. So connect to the database. Probably you can see MySQL Enterprise Server Commercial is 8.0.22. Okay. So now check the status. So here you can see everything is status when it is started, those things and all, which version, those things and all. Now probably you can run show variables like SSL, and you can see SSL CA, SSL cert, and SSL key, which you added in the my.cnf file. Okay, so once that is done, show variables like CA. What are all the parameters which is related to CA? You can probably run that and see whether it is pointing to caching SHA, private key path, public key path, everything is properly showing or not correctly. Okay, I just mentioned CA. Probably you can remove 1%, then probably you will get only the CA related parameters. Okay, yeah. After that, you can run the show global variables like TLS version. So you must know, guys, right? TLS is nothing but related to security, one of the level in the OS side. So what TLS versions is certified in the 8.0 means TLS 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So if you see till 5.7 or 5.6 while setting up SSL, probably you will see only this 1.2. You may not get a 1.3 certified TLS in the lower versions. So since I am using latest version, latest stable version 8.0.22, probably you will get 1.3 is certified from the OS side, like TLS. Okay, so now you can check it SSL version. Anyway, it will give empty set, and you can see show global variables like have percentage SSL, and these are the most important parameters while setting up SSL. By default, it will be no. Once you enable the SSL related private key certifications, probably you will get yes value for this particular parameters. Have underscore open SSL, have underscore SSL. Okay. So once that is done, so SSL server not. So this is the most important variable where you can monitor after generating generated SSL certificates. So what is this meaning? Means SSL server not. So once you run this parameter, you will get SSL server not after and not before. That means you cannot use before this timestamp those certifications which you generated, and you cannot use after 22 May 22nd, this one May 22nd is nothing but a date actually. Okay, so not after, server not after means after May 22nd you may not use it, and before July 13th you may not use. Okay, so after that, show status like SSL cipher. Cipher is nothing but just it will give empty set only, just giving this information. Okay, so here if you observe one thing, SSL server not after means 2031. 2031 after May 23rd, 2031, you may not use these certifications. These certifications will be not valid. Okay, so server not before means 2021 July 12th you cannot use. So it will start from the July 13th 2021 to 2031 May 22. That means 10 years validity. Okay, 10 years validity. So once that is done, probably you can see SSL related parameters show variables like SSL. So open SSL is yes, and we saw that SSL CA, SSL certificate, and SSL key, everything you saw that. Okay, so now the configuration level side is also completed. So now the next step is creating the non-SSL users and SSL users. So here one thing I want to tell you, so in the SSL setup means probably you can use this entire SSL setup dedicated for SSL setup, or you can use both like non-SSL and SSL. If some people wants to, some team members wants to connect as SSL, you can use it as a non-SSL users and normal authentication will be happen. If the same team wants to connect to the SSL in the same server, means you can use it SSL user which you created from the database. Okay, so now there is a little bit difference between normal user creation and SSL user creation. We will see that. So connect to the database, and create SSL DB is one schema and non-SSL DB is another schema, just for testing purpose. And now you can see the users list is like this. I don't have other than any user except default users. And now what I'm going to do, create user test SSL with localhost, create user test SSL with a remote host. Both I created. These two users are SSL users. If you are providing identified by this one password, require SSL means that user is belongs to SSL user. Okay. So now I created another two set of users, which is called test underscore non-SSL and test underscore non-SSL localhost. Both I created without any providing require SSL. That means these two set of users are called non-SSL users, and these two set of users called SSL users. Okay. So after that, probably you can give the grant all privileges that you know, guys. And for both the non-SSL and SSL user set, I given the grants like this on required database. So once that is done, you can see the all the users which I created, test non-SSL with percentage localhost and test SSL with percentage and the test SSL with localhost. Now you can see the show grants for test non-SSL localhost and grant usage, all these things. You can probably just cross-checking your permissions, everything is properly set or not. That's it. Okay, so now this time to test, validate your SSL setup by using this method. So first, any kind of setup if you are doing, not only SSL, any kind of setup if you are doing in the security administration or normal administration, so first you have to test it in the within the server, that is within the MySQL database server. You have to test it. If that is working fine, then you can go with cross mission connectivity strings. Okay, so here also that is the best practice to do in any real-time environments. So in my entire career, I feel like I will do first step. First connectivity is happening within the server or not, then I will go with the other mission acting as a Linux and acting as a client, and I will connect from the client to database. So like that I will test it. So here also first set of validation, you can probably set check it in the within the MySQL DB server where you set the SSL connectivity happening or not. So what I did, in the host name is within the server. By using this one, I'm trying to connecting to the test SSL, that is SSL user, by using providing all the certifications like SSL CA, client certificate, and a client pen. Because you can ask one question here in the MySQL server, why we provided the client certificates there? You have to provide the server certificate, right? No. So even though if you are trying to connecting within the server to the database, the connectivity string, it will be act as a client connectivity only. Forget about whether you are running the MySQL server or non-MySQL server, that is other client mission, doesn't matter here. But if you are trying to connecting, establishing is going to happening within the server or from other server, that session is called as a client connections. You guys know very well this one. So that is what I provided here, client certificate. I did not provide any certificate, even though if I'm trying to connecting in the MySQL server. So now by using SSL user, so probably you can provide the SSL user password and see I have connected, and SSL is established with cipher TLS. A few minutes back, if you run the status, you are not able to see this SSL cipher is empty, right? That means that is normal authentication. But here, when you provide the certificates while connecting to the database with the SSL user, the connectivity will happening SSL established with the cipher, this one. Okay. So we can see all those things and all. We can see the connectivity of database which you have the access. And you can see, you can run some of the commands like global variables TLS version, and shows session status like SSL version. See, few minutes back also, if you run this command, SSL version is giving the empty set. Am I right? So now after connection established with SSL user, you can see the version of the SSL here. Which version is going to means it will show always higher version, what it is configured in the OS side. And now also you can see SSL cipher value. Then few minutes back, if you see SSL cipher is empty, I can show you that one also. SSL cipher and version, right? Yeah, see, SSL cipher is empty and SSL version is empty. But now I am getting the output of those two parameters once the connection is established with SSL user. Okay, so now you can see normal show process list, those things, and all you can run it and select user, which user and which host name it is pointing. Since you connected within the MySQL server, it is showing local host, that you know. And database is null, it is not connected any database, so that is what it is showing null. And probably, yeah, this is within the server, means SSL is established, perfectly working fine. So now the next validation is test connection from client to MySQL database. So now you can consider B is the second server and A is the SQL server, SQL database with SSL setup. And now you are trying to connect him from B to A by using SSL. So how we are going to connect him? So you know, right, in B mission, you have to install the client package of the MySQL to connect to the database. That you know, you have to install the MySQL client by using RPM packages. These are all which is belongs to client packages. So everything is commercial again here. Okay, so now you can see, so before connecting to the B server to A, to end users, you have to share these three files from the server to end user. This is a mandatory step, you to provide these three files to end users. Then only they can able to connect to the SSL database by using client mission to database server. So here I just copied all this CA certificate client and client key from the A server to B server, that is in the C server. And note the two CA files must be the same. Okay, so ca.pem and ca.another file both are same. Okay, you can provide ca.pem. Okay, so now you can see here in the home EC2 server mission, I have kept all these three files. In the client side, you can provide your customized path. It is not a mandatory to keep etc folder, or it is a mandatory to keep some other folder. It is not like that. You can keep it in the client server. You can keep it all these three files in any folder. Only the thing is permissions is the mandatory. You have to check that. So what I did here in home EC2 user, I provided all these three files and I kept at this one. So, but here I would like to add one more standard point. So you to avoid the permission issues of these certification files, you can keep it always in the etc folder. That is the best practice, to keep it these certifications in the client side. Okay, so now what I did, go to the etc folder and I make directory of the client certificate, and I moved all these three files from home EC2 my EC2 user to my customized path, which is called EC2 client _ cert. Now you can see all these things to into my customized client path, this one. So here matter of the owner also. So you have to change it to root client certificate, all three files, and you can probably see all the files is root is the owner of this certifications. So now in the B server, run this command while connecting to the database. So this is my SSL certificate path for the CA file, and this is a certificate for client path for client certificate, and this is for client key for the certification path, and minus H is nothing but a my 17.141 is my A server, that is MySQL database server, and minus U, and I am trying to connecting SSL user from the remotely, that is client to database. So now you can give the password of test_SSL, and connection got established. You can see current user, and the SSL cipher also generated, and probably you can run all the commands, SSL version, SSL cipher, and everything is showing properly. Okay, so here, yeah, so this is the connectivity from, since we are using the connectivity from command line, probably you have to provide like this. Okay, if you are using GUI tools to connect to the SSL certificate, there is every tool has that kind of options. It will ask like SSL CA, SSL client, SSL certificate key for client key, those things and all. It will ask each and every client tool. So probably you can provide your certification path while connecting to the database from the GUI tool to database. Then you can able to connect. So this is till this one, client side and server side, both sides, the connections are established with this entire SSL setups. And now without SSL certificate, so the question is now again, so since we are using SSL user, so probably we connected, but here without SSL, how we are going to trying to connect it? Okay, so within the DB server, what I did, I'm using non-SSL user, which I created previously. I am not providing anywhere the certifications location, anything, nothing. I'm not providing anything. And now you can give the password of test non-SSL, and you can see the status of this one. SSL is not in use. That means this connectivity established, connection established is normal authentication without SSL authentication. So I was using in the same server setup for SSL, I was using non-SSL connections and SSL connections. Both I was using. Okay, so probably you can able to see all those things. See databases, I connected everything. So hope you guys are enjoying this entire setup, and probably you guys can check it in community and do this setup in the community versions also. If any doubts, please let me know. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you.